In 1587, a group of about 117 English settlers landed on Roanoke Island, located off the coast of present-day North Carolina, United States. Their mission was to establish a permanent colony in the New World, a project meant to be part of England's growing expansion across the Americas. Led by John White, an artist, cartographer, and experienced explorer, the colonists faced enormous challenges. Roanoke was an unfamiliar land, full of dense forests, unpredictable rivers, and wildlife unlike anything they had ever known. The goal of the colony was strategic: to create a base for future English expeditions, to strengthen England's presence in the Americas, and to challenge Spain's dominance, which already extended across vast territories of the continent. But the journey and adaptation would prove far from simple. The group included men, women, and children, all hoping to begin a new life in an environment as promising as it was hostile. The first months were marked by extreme hardship. Relations with local Native American tribes were delicate. Some groups were friendly, others wary, and at times openly hostile. Food shortages became an immediate problem. Failed crops, difficulties in hunting and fishing, and an unpredictable climate made survival increasingly difficult. Tropical diseases previously unknown to the colonists began to spread, adding to their suffering and tension. In August 1587, John White decided to return to England to gather supplies and reinforcements. He left the colony with a promise to come back soon. The plan was simple. Just a few months would be enough to return with provisions and new settlers. However, reality proved cruel. The ongoing war between England and Spain, intensified by the looming threat of the Spanish Armada, delayed White's return for 3 long years. When he finally managed to return to Roanoke Island in 1590, John White found a scene straight out of a nightmare. The colony was deserted. There were no settlers, no intact houses, no bodies, no signs of struggle. Only one clue remained: the word CROATOAN carved carefully into a wooden post, and the letters CRO etched into a nearby tree. No weapons, no scattered belongings, no signs of hasty departure. Nothing. White assumed the word referred to the CROATOAN tribe who inhabited Hatteras Island, south of Roanoke. He tried to sail there, but storms and rough seas prevented him from reaching it. Thus, the fate of the colony became one of history's greatest mysteries. Since then, historians, archaeologists, and mystery enthusiasts have tried to uncover what happened to the colonists. One of the most accepted theories suggests that the settlers integrated with the CROATOAN tribe, adopting their customs and living among them. This idea is supported by later European reports describing native villages that showed English influences, such as tools, weapons, and building styles. Recent archaeological research has uncovered fragments of metal, ceramics, and other artifacts that could have belonged to the colonists, but nothing definitive has been proven. Another, darker theory suggests that the colonists may have been attacked by hostile tribes or even by foreign explorers interested in the region. However, if violent attacks had occurred, there would likely be evidence, signs of struggle, human remains, or scattered belongings, none of which were found. The lack of such evidence makes this hypothesis less likely, though not entirely impossible. Some historians propose that the colony may have voluntarily moved to another area in search of water, food, or shelter, only to succumb to disease, famine, or harsh weather conditions. Roanoke's environment was severe: poor soil, unpredictable rainfall, and isolation that made outside help impossible. Survival would have been extremely difficult. The disappearance of Roanoke also gave rise to several popular legends. Some tales speak of curses and omens that supposedly doomed the settlers, involving supernatural events that were never proven. These stories, while fascinating, serve more to illustrate the aura of mystery surrounding the colony than to provide historical evidence. The story of Roanoke has endured for centuries, inspiring books, films, and documentaries, transforming the disappearance into one of the greatest enigmas in American history. The word CROATOAN, carved into a tree, remains the symbol of this mystery. To some, it signifies that the settlers moved to live among the CROATOAN tribe. To others, it's simply an enigmatic clue with no definitive context. What we do know is that none of the settlers were ever seen again. No detailed record was made and physical evidence remains scarce. Modern archaeological research continues to explore the region. Excavations have revealed fragments of tools, household items, and ceramics that could belong to the settlers. But there is still not enough proof to link them directly to the lost colony. Genetic studies have even attempted to trace possible descendants among nearby indigenous populations, but results remain inconclusive. Each new finding raises more questions. Did some settlers survive? Did they scatter or merge with local tribes? Or were they victims of some unknown tragedy? Beyond archaeology, the disappearance of Roanoke raises questions about the logistics and psychology of the time. The colonists were ordinary people, many with no experience exploring unfamiliar territories, facing hunger, isolation, disease, and environmental dangers. The pressure to survive may have led to extreme decisions, forced migration, alliances with natives, or even internal conflict. The region's climate and geography also played a critical role. The coast of North Carolina is marked by violent storms, shifting tides, and harsh winters, all of which could have prevented any escape or reorganization. Additionally, diseases introduced by either the settlers or the natives might have wiped out entire communities within weeks. Roanoke also teaches us about the complexity of cultural interaction. European settlers and Native Americans lived in a fragile balance of mistrust, cooperation, and cultural exchange. Some settlers may have adapted to indigenous life, learning their customs and survival techniques. Others may have dispersed into small independent groups that eventually vanished from history. The colony's disappearance is a reminder of human vulnerability in the face of the unknown. Even with planning and determination, external and unpredictable forces can completely alter the fate of a group. Roanoke defies logic and reason. 117 people, entire families, vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a single word carved in wood. Later, historical documents only deepen the mystery. There are no credible reports of survivors, and every record points to the complete absence of the colony. The lack of evidence leaves room for speculation, theories, and fantastic tales, turning Roanoke into a story that blends history, archaeology, and legend. Over the centuries, new theories have continued to emerge. Some suggest the colonists spread inland, seeking other settlements or native villages. Others speak of shipwrecks during escape attempts, pirate attacks, or rival European incursions. None of these ideas have been proven, but they all add layers to the mystery. The disappearance of Roanoke continues to inspire archaeologists, historians, and the curious. Every artifact uncovered, every document examined, every indigenous account analyzed brings hope of finally uncovering the truth. Yet even with modern technology, from genetic testing to precise geographic mapping, the fate of the colonists remains unknown. The word CROATOAN endures as both a symbol of hope and uncertainty. For some, it represents peaceful integration with the natives. For others, it remains an unsolved riddle. That single word captures the fragility of historical memory and the unpredictability of life on the frontier. Roanoke also teaches us about human courage. The settlers, though ill-prepared and uncertain, ventured into the unknown, facing hunger, disease, isolation, and environmental dangers. Their courage is admirable, but their disappearance reminds us that not all dreams of conquest and colonization succeed. Above all, the mystery of Roanoke is an invitation to reflection. It reminds us that history is full of gaps, enigmas, and unanswered questions. Some disappearances, no matter how well documented, may never be explained, and Roanoke is the perfect example of that. Even after centuries, archaeologists, historians, and researchers continue to search for answers. Each new discovery brings us closer to the truth, but also reveals how complex it is to understand events so distant in time. The disappearance of the Roanoke Colony continues to captivate generations, inspiring books, films, and documentaries. In the end, the story of the lost colony of Roanoke is one of courage, mystery, and the unknown. It reminds us of humanity's fragility in extreme conditions, the unpredictability of fate, and our eternal fascination with the inexplicable. The word CROATOAN remains engraved not only in wood, but also in history as memory, a haunting symbol of the unanswered question that still lingers. What really happened to the settlers of Roanoke?